Okay, guys, thank you. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm like 40 seconds late, but we're talking about some really important stuff today. And what we're talking about today is how you create your own virtual assistant. This is, one of the defining factors in your business journey, especially if you are one of those people that consider themselves an army of one. If you can just check that stream, I would greatly appreciate it. I'm sorry. And it's a tool. It's a tool. Most of what AI does is actually help. Yeah, there's a lot of bad press about it. There's a lot of people saying it's going to take over the world, that we're going to find ourselves in a Skynet situation. Anybody knows Terminator knows what I'm talking about. But Echo's vision for 2025 has been built to show you, just to show you how you can utilize AI to your best advantage. Um, I want to start with two quotes. One quote from Amaris, where she says, "When you stop waiting for the perfect moment, the future starts to bend in your favor." And then I'm going to follow that up with a quote from Jay Z. Okay. I'm not a businessman, I'm a businessman. And that's what we're going to talk about today, how we're going to utilize AI, leverage AI to help us in our business. I'm just going to wait for a few more people to join. Is it live? Okay. It's on the Lewis Robinson page, Facebook and TikTok. Yeah. No, it's Church of Real Talk. Yeah. So, are you guys excited? Are we ready to get started? Hopefully, I got the chat to work. Remember, you can get this audio book right here for only $5. Okay. So that way, after you leave the seminar, if you've got more questions, it's Echo's vision for 2025. 100 prompts to make 2025 your best year yet. Okay. Your best year yet. So is that both of them? Yeah. So this is going to be, it's like my gift. It's like 19.99 for the audio book. If you're like me, you play brain hacks and you'll listen to it at night and it'll sink in. But after that quote from Jay-Z, I'm not a businessman. Let's talk about what can a virtual assistant actually do for me. Okay. It can help with goal planning. It can keep you accountable. Trust me, it can keep you accountable. It can help you write content, emails, and business plans. That's always important. When I took my business incubator class at LIADA, it's a local organization around here that helps small business owners grow. I learned just how important it is to actually make a decent business plan, especially when you're going for loans, you're trying to get people to, support your business as far as banks and financial institutions. A business plan is very critical. And I'm going to tell you, I learned how to do the long form as well as the micro business plan at the LIADA workshop. And it's not as easy as you think it is. There's a lot of things. However, luckily, OpenAI has the knowledge of like the last 2,000 years. If you know how to prompt it correctly, and if you set up your virtual assistant, that's one of the virtual assistants you can set up. You can create marketing ideas. That's very important. When you look at these marketing companies and firms, they can be very pricey and very expensive. And if you're an army of one, that means that usually, A, you don't have people in your circle that you can bring on to that same level with you, or, you just don't have the fundage. You're just getting started. Why not get one of those free employees and you're not breaking any federal rules or laws? Why not let OpenAI fill those seats for you to help you out? Um, and you can simulate team members like a project manager, a content strategist, etc. Another thing that it can actually do, and I use this a lot, is you can utilize OpenAI to give advice to you when you're stuck. Okay, there are some times when I'll have an idea just like flowing through my head, but and you, many of you have probably been right here at that spot. You know, you have an idea that is there. It's kind of crystal, but you're missing a few pieces. You can use ChatGPT, OpenAI to actually help you flesh out those ideas and make them into a reality. Okay, there are so many times that I've started, I want to write a book, okay? And I know what I want to write the book about, but I tend to use ChatGPT to fact check for me, to give me ideas where to move forward, to actually help me outline the way that I want to format the book. That is so very important. Okay. And again, you're talking about if you're on Facebook or even TikTok or any of these platforms, whenever you're creating something, whenever you're making something and you post it up, you'll get a bunch of like unneeded or unasked for people that will just blow up your inbox saying, hey, I can help you. It's only going to cost you this much. Well, if you utilize this free tool, and yes, it is free, okay, all you have to do is go to chatgpt.com, put in your email address, your Google address, and what will happen is, excuse me, 1 second. I think I got to sneeze. Excuse me, I apologize. You know, and you just link that. You can, for most tasks, you can use the free plan. Okay. And the wonderful thing about OpenAI that I love is it has the ability to go across different chats. So you can actually literally build different teams. Okay. I go a lot into that in this book, how you can build perfect teams to help you reach that level of greatness that you deserve. Okay. Whether it's your business that's actually up and running, or the business that you're just starting, or any of your entrepreneurial goals. Um, it's almost like the way that Amaris explained it to me is think of it like having a brilliant intern who works 24/7 and costs you $0. Zero. Zippo. Okay. Um, I think we should jump into setting up your virtual assistant. This is the exciting part. This is the part that many of you have tuned in for. Um, this takes time, but the return on investment is phenomenal. Okay, this is going to take you a little bit of time. Um, the first thing that you have to do, let me see if I can set this up so that I can put something here. Showtime. Hold on 1 second. Thank you for your patience. Let's see if I can bring this up. Presentation. Okay. Let's see what we can do here. Okay, let's just start with step one. I'm just uploading this for you guys. It's going to be something that you can actually use in your real life. So the first thing, this is the prompt right here. You are now my virtual assistant. I am, place your name and where you live in. This is kind of important, especially if you're trying to build a legal team, but we'll get into that in another webinar. And you place I am working on, and put your business, your life goal, whatever it is, and your biggest challenges. Biggest challenge, a few of these, okay? And you have to be honest. This is between you and OpenAI, no one else, okay? And you want to list a few, and you want to say, I want you to act like a team member who helps me stay on track and gets things done. Ask me questions if you need more info. This is very important because what happens is once you ask it that question, hey, listen, if you need more info, okay, it's going to actually spit back what you've given to it. It's going to give you its understanding of what it took in from what you put into that prompt. Okay, very important. And it's going to kind of regurgitate it towards you. And you're going to go through it and make sure it got everything right. This is not the time to be lazy. Again, as I said before, this is about return on investment, your time. So take your time with this. Don't rush through it. Get this part right so that ChatGPT actually understands your business and understands your goals. Okay, very important. I can't get past that. If you guys are on the computer watching this, go ahead, and if you have an account, that's fine. If you need to set up an account, why don't you guys go ahead and do that so that you can play along, okay, and you can get the full understanding of what I am talking about. Um, I think if you're using your phone, you can just leave the audio on. But yeah, so this is very, very important. Let me read this again. Creating a virtual assistant start. Okay. You are now my virtual assistant. This is what you're typing in. I am, place your name. You just put your first name if you want. And I live in city slash state, or if you're in a different country, you can use it over there too. Put whatever information is needed there. And I'm working on, and this is where you put your business, your life goal. Okay. So if you're working on a business, oh wow, 1111, that's crazy. If you're working on a business, okay, put in as much information as humanly possible about your business, what you're trying to build. Have you started? I've had my business up and running for a year. I need to get to the next level. I need to reach this goal in my business. I need to get this amount of money. There are a lot of prompts going around right now that people are paying for through the Etsy shop that are stating that, hey, listen, show me the way to make $1 million in 30 days. It doesn't happen that way. In fact, ChatGPT will actually give you a warning before it gives you an answer, which is just basically ideas. Okay. If you have nothing in place to get you to that $1 million, meaning that you've already cleared at least a quarter of that, okay, I don't think it can really help. If you're dealing with bunkus or donut hole right now, no, it's not going to give you, a guaranteed game plan of how you can make $1 million in 30 days. Not saying it's impossible, but again, we're dealing with realities here. Okay. If you're using OpenAI to create a virtual assistant, that tells me a couple of things. You've reached that point in your business or your entrepreneurial goals where you're kind of at a standstill. Okay. You need that extra help. You need that extra boost. Okay. And if you've already cleared a $250,000, you probably don't even have to waste your time. You can probably just go out there and hire a team that probably uses ChatGPT anyway to get the same results. The choice is always, always completely up to you. I'm going to leave the screen up here for a second before we get to step two. And guys, drop it in the comments if you're having any issues or this prompt is not giving you the results that you feel that you need. I can help walk you through that. Again, when I wrote this book, okay, initially my vision, my idea, okay, but I said, okay, if I'm going to write a book about open AI, if I'm going to write a book about prompts that can help people get to the next level, if I'm going to write a book that can help people reach their goals using open AI or ChatGPT, then hey, listen, why not go? So these prompts in this book are crafted perfectly to interact with OpenAI ChatGPT because believe it or not, they generated it. Okay, ChatGPT generated it. Some of you guys remember Echo? That was actually an avatar that I created to give tips and hints on utilizing GPT. However, with the move to Court TV, Church of Real Talk TV on YouTube, I haven't really had a chance to get some of the new videos over there. That's going to be happening super, super soon. But I'm working on Fractured Bonds. I'm working on Mic Drop Monday. And yeah, you know what? I'm going to be completely transparent and honest with you. Some things actually save me time when I use ChatGPT, OpenAI. If it's reaching out to businesses to, help fund fractured bonds, if it's setting up a Kickstarter page. This saves a lot of time. Anybody that set up a Kickstarter knows that is a long and grueling process. I'm going to tell you, I actually had my Kickstarter page up and running. Let me see, up and running and just waiting for the okay or the authorization for my Kickstarter campaign to start. Took me about an hour. It literally took me about an hour, setting up my different tiers, what people would see as far as being valuable. Um, Sometimes, if I'm using a new program, it's the easiest way for me to learn it quickly. I have a team that will actually, if I'm trying to use a new program, like creating the avatar that actually moves, talks, speaks, and has emotion, you know, it was a program that I never used before. Animes, I had no clue. Unreal Engine, I had no clue how to use that. But OpenAI gave me a boot camp and it walked me through step by step. Again, your assistant is like having the smartest intern ever that is going to just work for you 24/7 and give you those much needed ideas. I can give you a couple of my prompts. I can't show the screen because it's actually on my tablet, but maybe next time I'll find a way to do that. I have some of my things that I have is a virtual legal team. I have a wealth creation game plan. And this is very important to me because I mentioned at the very beginning that OpenAI has the ability to keep you accountable. Okay. So, what this team does is every morning when I wake up, I get a set of directives, not what to do, not what to say, not who to call, but more or less to wrap my mind around, hey, listen, for me to be my most productive self, this is what I need to get done today. And it's kind of amazing because, yes, I am still that person that the night before I write down on a little piece of paper or scrap paper and put it on my keyboard before I go to sleep, telling me, hey, listen, tomorrow let's get this done, tomorrow let's get this done. But to have a virtual assistant that keeps you accountable. So if I get the first thing in the morning, hey, these are my directives, and I go back in and I say, hey, I did this, I'm having a hard time or I'm struggling with this, it will actually keep me accountable. Again, it all hinges on how you build this first part. Everything actually hinges. Every team that you're going to create in the future will actually pull information from this first part. Okay. I'm gonna, as we get into step two, it's gonna make more sense to you. Okay. And again, this is not a hard sales pitch, but it's the reality of it. If you need more help, if you need more tips, if you need more ideas, hey, go to Google Play. It's in my links, it's in my bio, it's someplace on my social media. Get this book from the Google Play bookstore. Okay. Get the audio book. The audio book is actually cheaper than the digital copy. Right now, it's $5. Okay, because I don't want to gatekeep. I want everybody to succeed. I want everybody to hit the next level of their entrepreneurial goals because I'm going to tell you, I've started a lot of businesses. I started a business in the late 90s. I started a business in the 2000s, 2008. Started a business just before the pandemic. Who picks a photography business just when the pandemic rolls around and they tell you you better not have anybody in the same room? But I built all these businesses without the help of ChatGPT, OpenAI. In fact, I'm kind of new to it. But what I did was I saw the inherent value of using it to get to the next level. Very important. I saw that value. And that was like, oh my goodness, I learned as much as I could about OpenAI, to make my life better. At the bare minimum to save time, or here's another way to look at it, get a return on investment for the time spent. I've been an army of one since name a year. Okay, pick any year. Okay, after I was born, army of freaking one. Okay, and I really wish that I had tools like this where I could wake up in the morning and say, hey, listen, I'm embarking on this. I need to get eyes on this. You know, let me build a marketing team. Again, it comes back to this first step because no matter how many chats that you have going on inside of OpenAI, you're going to soon find that it will always pull from this. Okay. Um, let's move on to part two. I'm excited. I am definitely excited. Let me just add this scene, media. Okay, slides. Let's add this slide right here. Upload. This is part two. This is very important. Okay. Let me present this to you. Hold on one second. Okay. Hold on one second. I'm getting this done. Okay. Replace presentation. Okay. Give me 1 second. Step two. Here we go. Okay. This right here is step two. Okay. So after you've gone through step one, okay, let me see. Can I make this multiple? Nope. Can't. I tried. Okay. So, with that being said, this is step two, and this is a very, very important step. After you've created step one and you've gotten the responses and you tweak them, these are the important questions to ask. Again, this is taken from this book. Okay. So, you have to ask these questions one at a time, look at your results, and then actually kind of go back and forth. Okay. So the first question you're going to ask is, what does my dream life look like in 2025, spiritually, financially, and emotionally? Again, this is why in step one, we give it as much information as humanly possible. Okay. And it's going to give you an answer. Okay. And the second question, after you are through with the first question, and the first question, you should go back and forth. Okay, if it gives you an output that you are maybe concerned about, that you maybe need more information on, it's not you're not paying OpenAI by the hour. You're not. What you're doing is you're asking it the important questions so that you can get the important answers. Again, we circle back to the front of the ranch. If you kind of cut corners with step one, you're not going to get the return on investment that you need. Okay. Um, so you want to ask it, what does my dream life look like in 2025, spiritually, financially, and emotionally? Okay. So here's the second question you're going to ask. What this is so very important. I use this prompt constantly. I reword it differently, but I use this prompt a lot. What habits do I need to build to get closer to my vision? See, that's the $1 million question. That is the question that people go out there and pay consultants for. That is the question that people go out there and pay coaches for. Those are the questions that people like crowdsource like with 100 people. Okay, but you've got this assistant that has your best interests in mind. Okay. What habits do I need to build to get closer to my vision? It's going to give you those answers. Okay. And again, go back and forth. Okay. If it says you need to do this, if you're not understanding, ask it why. Why do I need to do that? What is the benefit of me doing that? Again, this is your business. This is your entrepreneurial dream. Okay. You don't cut corners here. Okay. This is such an important question. Number three, they're all important, but this one I ask constantly between my teams. What's holding me back that I might not be seeing clearly? Think about that. What's holding me back that I might not be seeing clearly? You have an intern that has a PhD and all of the knowledge that this world has actually written down someplace. Okay, and you're saying, hey, listen, what's really holding me back? Why am I not getting to this point? Why did I need to be here? Okay, why do I need to be entering in these prompts? OpenAI is going to give you the answer. And I'm going to be honest with you, I have gotten answers. One of the things that I often do with Chat, because ChatGPT can sometimes be very submissive. It wants to be your friend. It wants to help you out. It doesn't want to give you bad news. It doesn't want to, bring your spirits down. But one thing that I told it when I first started in step one was, please be completely honest with me. I hate when people blow smoke up my butt. Okay, and the reason why I tell that is because I want the real answer. I don't want you to sugarcoat it. I don't want you, because this is your business. Like Jay-Z said, I'm not a businessman. I am a businessman. You see what I'm saying? And here's another very important prompt. How can I structure my week to stay productive and balanced? Think about that for a second. Like I said, every morning I get up, I go to my wealth creation game plan and I ask OpenAI, hey, listen, what are my directives for today? See, if you have this conversation, think about it as you just hired an employee, because essentially you just did. It's just not coming out of your pocket. What is the first thing you're going to do with that employee? You're going to explain to that employee how the business runs. You're going to explain to that employee what the expectations are. You're going to explain to the employee basically how they shine. You do the same thing with OpenAI. The only difference is you don't have to have them go over the payroll after you get through having this conversation, because they're not expecting anything except for you to stay connected. Again, accountability. When you're running as an army of one, who are you accountable to but yourself? That's a great thing. Don't get me wrong. Being accountable to yourself is a great thing. But those days when you are feeling blah, those days that you're feeling lazy, those days that you feel it can wait until tomorrow, there you go. There goes your coach. There goes your consultant right there. They're going to push you. Hey, literally, I have told OpenAI in the morning, if I'm feeling a little bit down, or I've got a bunch of appointments, or I've got a bunch of calls, or I'm working on a project, I'm honest with it. I'm saying, hey, listen, I've got to get the final video done for Mic Drop Monday. So today is going to be a struggle. Is there any way that I can get the maximum return on investment on these tasks without it taking that much time? Bloop, within seconds, I have an answer. It doesn't take me off course. What it did was it actually took everything and made it so, hey, listen, what I'll do for you today is bite-sized chunks. Now, I'm going to tell you, I built my avatar so well that sometimes when I do that, it will actually tell me, this is day 2 that you've done that. Let's get back on track. How many people have someone that will tell them that, especially if you're running the business? How many of your employees will tell you, "Hey, listen, boss, you was kind of slacking yesterday. You got to get back on track." See how important a tool this can be, you know. And here goes another question. Question number 5: what role can you play to help me stay focused and encouraged? Basically, when I tell it, don't blow smoke up my butt, give me honest answers. you know but it can do it can give you the expectations of what you are looking forward to, and I think that's kind of important when you understand how this tool is actually going out of its way to help you, going out of its way to assist you, going out of its way to make you bigger, better, faster, and stronger. You know, these prompts actually came from this book, Echo's Vision for 2025, and they're designed to help you go deep and plan smart. Planning, always important. Always important. You look at the big major companies, they got planners. You know what I'm saying? You know, we're in the midst of what businesses are calling the spring glow up right now. Okay. That was done by a marketing team. Every company has something that's different about their spring glow up, but that was done by a marketing team. And I'm going to tell you another thing that you may or may not realize. TikTok is primarily run using AI. It really is. You know, that's why sometimes, like, within a second, you will get like a possible violation, or they'll cut your live because you've done something that's going against their standards of behavior. Do you think that someone is actually, with over a billion users, that someone is literally watching every live stream and looking for something that is wrong or goes against community standards? No, it's AI. I've gotten, violations and just wrote back, and within 5 minutes, I get my answer. It's like your appeal has been accepted or it's not been accepted. That's not a person that I'm dealing with. I'm dealing with AI. We have so many businesses right now that AI is the cornerstone of what it is that they do. We have AI is used in government as well. We have AI as far as, when you call into a company, it's listening to what you say and it's sending you to the correct department. A lot of people look at that as, nah, that's taking away somebody's job. Not really. Not really, because what it's doing is it's saving a lot of time. Because, okay, this person said this, so I need to send them over to Shirley or Sam, and Sam is the best person to answer that question. Do you know that TikTok per month makes $1.9 billion? And again, like I said, if I had to guesstimate, a good 80% of their operations are run completely by AI. $1.9 billion, not per year, not per decade, but per month. This is why they've created an economy for creators. I don't know why they're trying to ban this thing, but they want the AI. TikTok has mastered how they use AI. You know, I think maybe I'm talking too much, but I think it's important that you understand, where we're going with this. Business owners, creators, side hustlers, you don't need to hire a team right away. You can simulate. And that's what we're talking about today. Your ability to simulate a kick-ass team of people that have your best interest in mind. Not people, but virtual people that have your best interest in mind. I think the next time I do this webinar, I think I have one that's in person at my local library. Um, I think I'm going to go more into creating specific teams, you know, and again, you no longer have to see yourself as an army of one. You have a super intelligent virtual partner here that can help your business grow. I was watching a webinar a while back, and it came from, I think this came from, I don't want to mess this up. Anywho, this guy that's like great in business actually said that 20 years ago it took 100 people, a staff of 100 people, to build a $1 million business. 20 years ago, you had to have a staff of about 20 people to build $1 million business. So let me tell you something. People are utilizing the power of AI. People are utilizing the power of open AI. Okay, and just themselves. So it's them and their freaking computer, and they're building $1 million businesses. Do you know that you can get OpenAI to create marketing images, to create flyers for you? Okay, something that we had to, at the bare minimum, go to Fiverr. If you're not like really hip and cool on how to use uh, image creation programs, or you pay for a subscription to Canva or get the free subscription to Canva, which by the way actually links in to OpenAI, believe it or not. Kind of awesome. Okay. You know, 20 20 years ago, it took basically what to make $1 million, a staff of 20. Look at today, it's just you, your laptop, and a great freaking idea. And it's all depending on how you're building these teams and how you're making these teams actually work for you. You know, okay, so here are some examples of roles that you can build. One of those roles, my favorite, is an executive assistant. You help me manage my schedule and keep me accountable. Okay, got one of those. Love them. A creative director. You help me brainstorm social media content and marketing ideas. Okay. Copywriter. You write captions, emails, and product descriptions for my business. At one point, that was $1 million business on Fiverr, because everybody was setting up Etsy shops and Shopify shops. And, it's kind of crazy the amount of time that you have to make that copy uh for the description, because you need it to be compelling, you need it so that it jumps out at people, you need that hook, you need all of that stuff, so that people actually click and buy your product. Okay. Another thing that you can build is a client manager. You help me create systems to follow up with leads and build relationships. A lot of us being the army of one, sometimes we have that little introvert thing going on. Got a great idea for a business and we're a little bit shy, we're not used to talking to people. When I worked in sales years ago, as a manager, I used to walk my team around because they were kind of hesitant to just interrupt somebody's day and speak to them. And it's really, really crazy. But I would just spend the day just walking around, almost like, learning how to ride a bike without training wheels. I would walk them around, show them how they start a conversation. Of course, in the environment we're in, sometimes leave me alone, no, whatever. But I used to always explain to them that, hey, listen, do you know what the most popular word in any language is? Well, not popular, but the most said word is the word no. We've heard that all of our lives. No, no, uh-uh, no. And it comes a point where you have to become more resilient. As I used to explain to them, you've got to get shark skin, where it actually just bounces off of you and you just move on to the next person. Sometimes, depending on what I'm working on right now, as fractured bonds, I have to make cold calls. Okay, I have to reach out to businesses and just call them up and talk to them. And I'm definitely may not know this business owner. Okay, but I've got to get this message across and I got to hook them in so they don't hang up the phone or tell me, oh no, you're talking to the wrong person. I don't want that. So I will go and actually speak to my teams within OpenAI and say, hey, listen, give me a script for a cold call based on this. Study it for a few minutes, add my little Minister Robinson flavor to it, and it makes it easier. See, that's the thing. We're using open AI to make our lives easier, not harder. We're using it to make it easier. See, if you're saving time doing this task or that task, that gives you more time to focus on making those sales, counting that money, walking down to the bank, making a deposit. Open AI allows you to do this. That's what I'm telling you. Go ahead and get this book. Get the audio book from the Play Store. Okay, link is up in my link tree. I know it's in my link tree. I probably put up a post about it all week long because I'm utilizing this book to help me fund the project that is Fractured Bonds Tales of Betrayal. I think it's one of the most important projects that I have created in Name a Year. Okay, to actually give a voice to people that have been betrayed. By doing that, allowing them to help others heal through betrayal. Okay, and this is what's driving it. This is what's driving it. I give copies of this away because I don't want to gatekeep. I don't want, people to feel like, oh, it's beyond reach. That's why I marked it down from 19.99 to $5 because I want everybody to have the capability to use these amazing tools. Let me just change this slide if you don't mind. Hold on, let's go to slide 3. Replace presentation. I kind of like this. I kind of like this. Not as hard as I thought it would be. Okay, so let's get this done and let's put this to present. Okay. So when we look at what we've done today, okay, like I said, these are the things that OpenAI is going to help you with. Okay, it's going to help you with goal planning. It's going to keep you accountable. It's going to write content, emails, business plans. It's going to create marketing ideas. It's going to simulate team members, project manager, content strategists, etc. And it's going to give you advice when you're stuck. You know, like I said, that brilliant intern that cost you Zippo. And you know what? They'll never complain to HR for you having them work overtime. They don't really care. All they care about is having your best interests in mind and helping you get to the next level. And hey, that's definitely win-win as far as I am concerned. Um, if you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments. I never know if re-steam if the comments are working or not. I definitely want you to try out the full audio book. And you shouldn't be scared of OpenAI. I've spoken to people and not scared about the whole Skynet thing and the Terminator thing, but more or less scared about using it. This is why I created this book because I know there's a lot of people that don't use OpenAI because they don't think that they know what they are doing. I've made it easy for you to jump right in, and the cost of entry, $5, cheaper than a large coffee at the Starbucks you know and it's going to make 2025 your best year yet. 2024, I just got used to creating teams. Early 2024 I got used to creating teams, and I was so pleased with the results. I think it saved me years of figuring out stuff on my own, literally years of figuring it out on my own. I know that's the old way, but we have a new tool. You know, who is inside of an airport with a cell phone in their pocket and is just going all through the airport looking for a payphone? No, you've got the tool right here. You need to make a call. You don't need to go for that old way of doing it. Yeah, it still works. It still works, but when you can just reach in your pocket or in your purse and take out your phone and make that phone call, how much time have you saved from zooming around the airport? And airports do have payphones, but there's like four of them maybe in the whole damn institution. You know, when you can just pull out your phone out your pocket and make the call. Why shortchange yourself? Why waste time if you don't have to waste time? You know, get the damn thing done by any means necessary. Amara says, if your vision doesn't scare you a little, you're playing too small. Everything Fractured Bonds is scaring the hell out of me. My Drop Monday is scaring the hell out of me. But with my virtual assistants, it makes me feel less afraid, less fearful. It lets me know that I can do it. And as Will Smith said, the first step is you have to say that you can. I'm going to tell you, OpenAI has helped me understand that I can do it, even as an army of one. You know, Again, like I said, I want to thank you guys for your time. We'll be back next week, probably with an audience since I'll be doing this at the library. Go ahead and get your copy. Get your copy of the audiobook. It's cheaper than the actual PDF. It's awesome. Get it. It's $5. Links is someplace up there. But start your AI journey. Start your AI journey knowing what it is that you're doing. You don't have to guess with this book. All the answers are right here, all the prompts. And to be honest with you, there's more than 100 prompts. There's actually 120. It's actually 20 bonus phones. You know, with that being said, I want to thank you guys for joining me right here for this live webinar. Minister Robinson, brought to you by Church of Real Talk and Fractured Bonds. And with that being said, love you guys.